out, I'm getting it in, yeah. No time for no loss, I'm paying the cost, I'm in it to win, yeah. Refuse, mine, it can't be diffused. If you ain't thinking the same, then we playing by different rules. You can't see the vision, we living at different views. Until we complete the mission, keep getting up, never snooze. I walked a mile in my shoes, had the mind of a fool, chasing diamonds and jewels. Trust me, I was confused. Started minding my business and used my mind as a tool. Ended up finding my purpose and found the time to get to it. They told me I couldn't do it, they told me I couldn't make it. They sold it, could never break it. That's sadly mistaken. I need a piece of the pie, I want it so bad I can taste it. They told me, like told me, keep on running toes, they gon' take them. Used to lose, built to win, applied myself, I felt it in. No time for the doubt, they counted me out, I'm getting it in, yeah. No time for no loss, I pay for the cost, I'm winning to win, yeah. Refuse to lose, I'm built to win, applied myself.
Welcome back to CTC. I'm your gracious host, Carl, and I'm back for another episode. As you can see, my NCAA tournament record is 32-4. My NIT record is 14-2. I had a clean sweep on Thursday, Friday, lost two of them. Xavier, my upset pick over Illinois, lost. And I should have stuck with my selection Sunday thoughts when New Mexico and Marquette came out. I was so on New Mexico, but had a change of heart. I went Marquette. New Mexico upsets Marquette. I should have stayed there, but it is what it is. I'll take 32-4. 2-2 in the round of 68 and 30-2 in the round of 64. I'll take that. My NIT 14-2, definitely take that as well. Again, 15-13 last year. I think 38-26 last year. So we're already on pace to break both of those. So I love it. I can't complain. But before I get into the show, I got to go over this shows on the network. We got the main show featuring Joe, Tomo, and Dave went live yesterday. They are live every Tuesday and Friday, 7 o'clock Eastern time to 8:30ish. Unfazed every Tuesday, 9 o'clock Eastern, 8 o'clock Central, featuring Joe and AJ. We have BWT, Baseball with Teddy. Again, opening day is right around the corner. So I want to say it's Tuesday. I'm not sure though. But I know it's around the corner. No, I don't think it's Tuesday. Excuse me. I think it's Thursday, next Thursday. FFC, Fantasy Football with Coach Coombs. Draft is around the corner. He's doing all-season talks. I'm pretty sure he's going to talk about the draft. So make sure y'all tune in there. RBO, Real Ballers Only. He did not go live yesterday. He may go live today. Y'all just keep a lookout for that, featuring Vaughn, NBA content. Dave's Doghouse, highlights and lowlights of sports. So make sure you check him out. We have In the Red Corner featuring Ty, Ricky, and Tomo. Boxing episodes every other Sunday, 7 o'clock. So make sure you check them out there. And that's all the shows we have to offer on the network. So please like, comment, share, subscribe to them as well. Helps the channels, helps our network. If you like what you're listening to, stick with us. Now we're going to jump into the NIT first, where there's only 2 games in the NIT. We're going to start with Dayton at Chattanooga. Dayton comes into this game as 2.5-point favorites. This game is at 11:30 a.m. on ESPN2. Now Dayton, they're a really good team again. A really good team in the non-conference. Chattanooga is coming off the triple overtime win against Middle Tennessee State, which that was a game. If you missed it, I'm so sorry you missed that game. That was a barn burner. But let's get into it. So Dayton, they're led by Nate Santos, averaging 14.1 points per game, 5.6 rebounds per game, and Enoch Cheeks, averaging 13.2 points per game, 6.4 rebounds per game, and 1.8 steals. And Malachi Smith averaging 10.5 points per game, 5.3 assists per game, and 1 steal per game. Now, again, I went X Factor Posh Alexander because his ball handling and his defense against Chattanooga. His ball handling is going to be huge, and his defense on possibly Hunter Huff or Trey Bonham is going to be huge as well. So that was my X Factor for Dayton. Now for Chattanooga, they're led by Hunter Huff, who didn't have the greatest of games last game, but hit a big 3 in triple overtime to put the dagger in the Middle Tennessee State. He averages 14.9 points per game and 1 steal per game. Bash Weiland had a huge game against Middle Tennessee State. He's averaging 14.5 points per game, 4.3 rebounds. And Trey Bonham, who also had a huge game, averaging 13.8 points per game, 4.4 rebounds, and 1.4 steals per game. Now, their X Factor to me, I put Colin Mulholland, the big fella. I think he's a freshman. He had a big game against Middle Tennessee State, 21 points, kind of slow-footed, but I put his scoring is going to be the X factor for them, averaging 5.4 points per game, but he had 21 against Middle Tennessee State. If he could score on Zed Key, that'd be big for Chattanooga. I went Dayton in this one, again, for the same reason why I went Dayton in that last one. While they didn't do the greatest in A10, I think they were third or something like that, third or fourth. They non-conference tested. So I think while this is a good game, when I first seen the game, I was leaning Chattanooga, but I ultimately took Dayton because of the non-conference reason. But this should be a really good game. I'm just ultimately picking Dayton for the reason, like I said, they were really good in the non-conference schedule, non-conference game here. So I took them. Next, we have Bradley at George Mason. George Mason comes to this one at 6.5-point favorites. This game is 2:00 on ESPN Plus. Bradley, so real quick, I know I told y'all that Zeke Montgomery and Darius Hannah were out. Zeke Montgomery remained out. Darius Hannah, on the other hand, had a change of heart and decided to play, which I didn't know about until I was watching the game. And I'm like, hold on. I thought he said he wasn't playing. But so Darius Hannah is playing for the Bradley Braves. So just wanted to get that clear. Duke Dean, 13.6 points per game, 3.7 assists per game. Darius Hannah, 12.7 points per game, 5.9 rebounds and a steal per game. And Christian Davis averaging 9.7 points per game and 5.3 rebounds per game. Now, the X factor for me, I put Almar Atlason. Now, the reason why I did that is because, one, I said he was going to have to step up in the place of Darius Hannah and Zeke Montgomery. And two, it's going to be scoring off the bench. He had, I believe, 0 last game, and it got kind of close towards the end. He's going to have to step up and score off the bench. He's averaging 5.7 points per game. He's going to have to step up in this game against George Mason, who's a really good team. Speaking of George Mason, they're led by Josh Haynes, big fella, 14.1 points per game, 7 rebounds per game. Darius Maddox, 13.8 points per game and 1.1 steals. And Katie Johnson, who had 20 off the bench last game in a blowout against Sanford, 7.6 points per game and 1.2 steals per game. Now, the X factor to me going to be Zach Anderson. He's coming off, I believe, a nice little game off the bench. His going off the bench is going to be huge, averaging 5.1 points per game. But ultimately, I want George Mason. Again, George Mason is a really good A10 school. George Mason, really good defensively, solid defensively. Katie Johnson helps him a lot off the bench with the scoring. And they can score. George Mason can score. They can stop you from scoring. And I think Bradley they're going to make it tough on Bradley to score. Bradley struggled against Northern Alabama late in the second half to score. I think George Mason constricts them defensively, and they ultimately win the game. So give me George Mason over Bradley, and that's your NIT for today. We move on to the round of 32, where we start with McNeese, 12th ranked McNeese State versus the Purdue Boilermakers. This game is 12-10 on CBS. McNeese is coming off the upset win against Clemson, while Purdue is coming off the win against High Point. Now McNeese, again, led by Javon Garcia, 12.6 points per game, 1.5 steals. Christian Shoemate, 10.6 points per game, 6.4 rebounds, and 1.3 blocks. And DJ Richards averaging 9.9 points per game, 1 steal. Now, I changed up the X factor this time. This time I went with Joe Charles. He's going to be huge in the defense against Trey Kaufman-Wren. You got to stop him from going right. He has to. I don't think he's going to stop Trey Kaufman-Wren, but he has to, how do I say, I don't want to say contain him, but I'm going to say contain him for lack of a better word. He's going to have to contain him. Now, Purdue, they're led by Braden Smith, averaging 16.2 points per game, 4.6 rebounds per game, 8.6 assists per game, and 2.2 steals. Trey Kaufman ran 20.2 points per game, 6.3 rebounds per game, and Fletcher Lawyer averaging 13.6 points per game. Now, their X factor for me is still Miles Colvin with his defense and his scoring ability. Well, he got to hit some three-point shots as well, shooting 31.7% from the three-point line. He's my X factor for Purdue. Now, I ultimately got McNeese in the Sweet 16. I'm rolling with McNeese State to have yet another upset against Purdue. Why? One, I've been saying it all year. Purdue looks a little funny in the light when they don't have a big man that's above 7 foot. Now, Will Berg did play in the High Point game, and he did give good minutes. He really did. But he's not going to play consistent minutes enough to change my statement. Secondly, I feel like McNeese can cause turnovers against Purdue. Now, Braden Smith, really good with the ball. But this year I noticed he's definitely had some turnover-happy moments in the season. And if you can get him to turn the ball over and disrupt this Purdue's offense, which I think McNeese can, it's going to bode well. I think McNeese pulls off this upset against Purdue for the first game of the round of 32. Next, we have Arkansas versus St. John. I know a lot of people talking about the coaching matchup, Rick Pitino versus Coach Kyle, John Calipari. We'll get into that. So Arkansas, they're led by, St. John's coming to this one, 7.5-point favorite. This game is 240 on CBS. Now Arkansas led by Zonamir Ivizic, 9 points per game, 4.4 boards, and 2 blocks per game. Jonell Davis, 11.4 points per game, 1.5 steals per game. And DJ Wagner, 11.2 points per game, 3.6 assists, and 1 steal per game. Excuse me. Now, Boogie Flan, he did make his return Thursday when they played Kansas. And it was decent. It was solid. It was decent. I say it was decent. But they still got the dub. They got the upset win over Kansas, which, by the way, Kansas had one of the most disappointing seasons ever. And in that disappointing season, they did beat us. So they got that. They did beat us. But that was early in the year. We were still trying to figure ourselves out. They play us now. Be a different story. But we don't got to worry about that. St. John's. Oh, Boogie Flan is my X Factor. Excuse me. He's my X Factor. He's going to have to score this game. Because St. John's, once they get that second half, once they hit that second half, that first half, don't be happy about it. Nebraska, Omaha, they was probably happy. We had the half. We down 5. We really been up this whole half. We good. We can play with these boys. St. John's second half, boat raced them. So, again, it's crazy that I think they wear down on teams without the depth, for real. They got some depth, don't get me wrong, but it ain't like crazy depth. And they just wear down on teams defensively, and then they take over. But St. John's, they're led by R.J. Louise, 18.5 points per game, 7.2 rebounds, and 1.4 steals. Zuby Ejiofor averaging 14.4 points per game, 8 rebounds per game, and 1.4 blocks. And Kadari Richmond averaging 12.7 points per game, 6.5 rebounds, 5.4 assists, and 2.1 steals per game. Now, that X factor to me, I went back with Aaron Scott, man, because guard play is going to be huge in this one against Arkansas, and Aaron Scott's going to be huge. Have to knock down open shots. His activity around the rim, defensive ability, and his athleticism is all going to be huge in this game. So I went with him. And my winner, St. John's. Don't even think it's going to be close. All right. Coach Cal, great recruiter. Basketball coach, though, I don't think he's close to Rick Pitino. What Rick Pitino has done at different spots is crazy. Now, I get it. You're going to say, well, Cal had Mass in the first Final Four and all this other stuff. Memphis, cool. You're right. But it ain't the same. It ain't. These last couple years, Coach Cal ain't been that Coach Cal. So, I don't think it's even close there. I think Rick Pitino is going to out-coach Cal. I think St. John's, second half again, both races Arkansas, and gets the dub to move on to the Sweet 16. Next, we have Michigan versus Texas A&M. Now, surprisingly, Texas A&M to me is 2.5-point favorites. I thought Michigan would be the favorites in this game. But yeah, they're 2.5-point favorites. This game is 5:15 on CBS. So hopefully I'm off work by then. Now, Michigan's the 5th seed, and Texas A&M is the 4th seed. Texas A&M handled Yale. They basically handled them that whole game, while Michigan handled UC San Diego through most of the game, but Tyler McGee, late game, got hot and made it a game. They actually see UC San Diego actually took the lead until Trey Donaldson responded with a 3. But Michigan eventually escaped. Now, Michigan, they're led by a big man, Vlad Golden. Averaging 16.6 points per game, 6.8 rebounds, and 1.3 blocks. Trey Donaldson, 11.6 points per game, 3.6 rebounds, 4.2 assists, and 1 steal. And Danny Wolf averaging 13 points per game, 9.9 rebounds per game, 3.6 assists, and 1.3 blocks. Their X factor to me is Normani Burnett and his defense on Wade Taylor IV. I'm pretty sure he's going to draw that assignment, and he's going to have to do a heck of a job to try to contain him. Next, Texas A&M, they're led by Wade Taylor IV, averaging 15.7 points per game, 4.3 assists, and 1.3 steals. Zoric Phelps, averaging 13.8 points per game, 4.9 rebounds per game, and 1.7 steals per game. Farrell Payne, averaging 9.9 points per game, 5.1 rebounds, and 1.1 blocks per game. Their X factor for me is Anderson Garcia. Him, Farrell Payne, and Henry Coleman have their hands full with the 7-footers and Vlad Golden and Danny Wolf. Now, Danny Wolf kind of plays most on the perimeter, but Golden is an inside threat, inside presence. So they're going to have their hands full there. So I have him as an X factor because of that. And he's going to have to score. He's averaging 5.9 points per game off the bench, I believe. So he's going to have to score. But my winner, Michigan. Again, the reason behind that is the length of Vlad Golden and Danny Wolf. That was really what put him over the top against UC San Diego, is that height that Michigan has. Now, I do think Texas A&M has some athletic bigs, but they don't have a 7-footer, let alone 2. So it's going to be tough for Texas A&M to get stops. And if Wade Taylor is cold, if he's not the Wade Taylor that he needs to be, it's going to be tough for Texas A&M to generate points. So give me Michigan to win this game and move on to the Sweet 16. Next, we have Drake versus Texas Tech. Now, Drake pulled off the upset against Missouri, while Texas Tech almost had a scare against UNC Wilmington, but late in the game, pushed away. Texas A&M comes into this one 6.5-point favorites. This game is 6-10 on TNT. Definitely better be home before for work from this point. But Drake, led by Bennett Sturts, absolute monster. 19.2 points per game, 4.3 rebounds, 5.6 assists, and 2.1 steals. Cam Manyow, 7.2 points per game, 5.3 rebounds, 1.3 steals per game. Daniel Abreu, 10.2 points per game and 1 steal per game. My bad. X factor to me is going to be Mason McCarry again, man. He's going to have to score some points against this Texas Tech defense. Defense locks in. He's going to have to provide some points. He's averaging 9.7 points per game. Texas Tech, led by Elijah Hawkins, 9.2 points per game, 3.5 rebounds per game, 6.5 assists, and 1.6 steals. JT Toppin, 17.9 points per game, 9.2 rebounds per game, and 1.3 blocks. And Darion Williams, 14.2 points per game, 5.4 rebounds, 3.7 assists, and 1.1 steals per game. Now, that X factor to me is Christian Anderson and his scoring ability and his defensive ability. But he's averaging 10.7 points per game. He's going to be huge there. Chance McMillan, they said he should be back for this game. I'm going to double check right now to see if Chance McMillan will be back. Oh, no. I see something a day ago that he's out. Oh, no, that was against UNC Wilmington. Why is that a day? Oh, I guess because it's not a full 48. I see nothing definitive. Yeah, I see nothing definitive about him coming back. I think they say he will be back, though, if they advanced, in which they did. So, oh, wait, no. I see now that it doesn't sound like he will be back. So, looks like they will be without Chance McMillan yet again, which is huge for Texas Tech. But nonetheless, I'm still choosing Texas Tech. Why? I feel like these two teams is kind of similar. Really good defensively. I just think Texas Tech does it a lot better. Texas Tech scoring ability is a lot better than Drake's. So for that reason, I'm going Texas Tech. Wouldn't be surprised if Drake covered the 6.5. I'm thinking about taking it, but I'm going Texas Tech to advance to the Sweet 16. Next, we have ninth seed Creighton versus number 1 overall seed Auburn. Auburn comes into this game as 8.5-point favorites. This game is 7-10 on TBS or True TV. Take your pick. For Creighton, coming off the win against Louisville, blowout fashion, they're led by Ryan Kochbrenner, 19.2 points per game, 8.7 rebounds per game, and 2.7 blocks per game. Stephen Ashworth, amazing game, 16.5 points per game, 4.1 rebounds, 6.8 assists. But Jemiah Neal was the story of the game last time against Louisville. He's averaging 12 points per game, 6.3 rebounds, and 4.5 assists. Their X factor to me is still Jackson McAndrew, because he's going to have to hit some shots. He's going to have to hit some threes on an Auburn team that can score and defend really well. Got to hit some threes. Now for Auburn, led by Janai Broome, 18.7 points per game, 16.6 rebounds per game, 3.1 assists, and 2.2 blocks per game. Chad Baker-Mazar, 12.4 points per game, 1.1 steals per game. Tahad Pettiford, 11.2 points per game. And their X factor to me is Dylan Caldwell and his defense and staying out of foul trouble against Ryan Kochbrenner. If he can stay out of foul trouble and defend Kochbrenner really, really well, Creighton's in trouble. Because they can't, even though Creighton offensive sets, they run a lot of plays and they run a lot of beautiful plays. But late shot clock, they really can't just throw that in there to Ryan Kochbrenner. I hope he uses his height to get a bucket against Auburn, because they got some guys that are tall and defend really well. And for that reason, I'm taking Auburn. Again, Auburn defends at a high level, scores at a high level. And we've seen when Creighton goes against a team that can do that, it might jump out in the first, but it ultimately catches up, i.e. the St. John's Big East Championship game. I think that happens again. Give me Auburn to move on to the Sweet 16. Next, we have 6 seed BYU versus 3 seed Wisconsin. Wisconsin's actually 1.5-point favorites in this game. This game was 7:45 on CBS. Now, BYU, led by Richie Saunders, 16 points per game, 4.4 rebounds per game, and 1.2 steals. Igor Demon, 10.5 points per game, 3.8 rebounds per game, 5.3 assists, and 1.1 steals per game. And Fusini Traore, 8.7 points per game, 5.4 rebounds per game. Now, their X factor to me in this one is Keba Keita and his defense down low, his activity against the rim, his athleticism, blocking, shot blocking ability down low against Stephen Kroll, Nolan Winters, and protecting that paint when guys like John Blackwell and John Tsuji come down in the paint to lay the ball up. His shot blocking ability will be huge for the for the BYU Cougars. Now, Wisconsin, they're led by John Tsuji, averaging 19.1 points per game, 19.1 points per game, and 5.3 rebounds per game. Stephen Kroll, 9.9 points per game and 5.3 rebounds per game. And John Blackwell averaging 15.6 points per game and 5.1 rebounds per game. Now, their X factor to me for the Badgers is Max Klesman. He's going to have to knock down some shots. He's going to have to knock down some threes again. When Max Klesman plays well, Wisconsin normally plays well. When he was injured, they were dropping games. He didn't play well against Michigan in the Big Ten championship. They lost the game. He plays well. Wisconsin plays well. So my winner in this, I actually have Purdue pulling off the upset. I mean, not Purdue, BYU, pulling off the upset. BYU shares the ball really, really good. Again, was on a heater until they lost to Houston in the Big 12 championship game, which is another team that's on a heater, and that's no shame to lose to them. Kenyon Catchings is back. Their three-point shot making ability is really good. And again, Keba Keita, he has the defensive ability around the rim, shot blocking. He's an athletic guy. And Traore as well. Traore is more of the stockier big, but I think they play better ball consistently than Wisconsin. So give me BYU for the upset over Wisconsin. Next, we have 8th seed Gonzaga versus 1 seed Houston. Houston's coming to this one as 5.5-point favorites. This game is 8:40 on TNT. Now, Gonzaga, led by Graham Ike, 17 points per game, 3.4 rebounds per game. Ryan Nembhard, 10.6 points per game, 9.8 assists per game, 1.7 steals per game. Khalif Battle, 13.5 points per game, 3.6 rebounds per game, and 1.1 steals per game. X factor to me is Nolan Hickman. Guy that create his own shot. He's averaging 11.2 points per game. A guy that can create his own shot. Now, Houston, led by LJ Cryer, 15.2 points per game. Juwan Roberts, 10.7 points per game, 6.2 rebounds, and 1 steal per game, which he is back. He did play against SIU Edwardsville. And Emmanuel Sharp, averaging 12.5 points per game and 1.4 steals per game. The X factor to me in this one is Javier Francis and his defense in the post. He's dealing with guys like Graham Ike. He may deal with Ben Gregg down there, but Ben Gregg can also stretch the floor. So his defense is going to be pivotal for the Houston Cougars, who's also a really, really good defensive team that can score the ball. Ultimately is the reason why I'm picking Houston. Gonzaga struggles against good defensive teams. They struggled against St. Mary's twice. Now in the tournament, the championship, they handled that one. But they did struggle. And I think Houston could hold them. I'll say Houston could hold them to under 60, but they could put up over 60. So I got Houston advancing to the Sweet 16, man. And the last game we got is UCLA versus Tennessee. UCLA is the 7th seed, coming off the huge win against Utah State, while Tennessee is coming off a huge win against Wofford. Couldn't give me that night. They couldn't give me that spread, though. They couldn't cover that spread. Tennessee's coming to this one as I have 5.5 written down. I don't know why I've typed 4.5. Hold on. I'm looking. Yep. Type 4.5. I have 5.5 written down. This game is 9:40 on TBS or True TV, so take your pick. UCLA led by Tyler Bilodeau, averaging 13.5 points per game, 4.6 rebounds per game. Sebastian Mack averaging 9.7 points per game, and Sky Clark averaging 8.2 points per game, 1.3 steals per game. The X factor to me is Kobe Johnson and his defense on Chaz Lanier. I think he's going to draw that assignment. If he does, Chaz Lanier is the bucket who's going to be coming off screens. He's going to have to be ready to run. Tennessee, led by Zakai Ziegler, averaging 13.7 points per game, 7.5 assists per game, and 1.9 steals per game. Chaz Lanier, 18 points per game and 3.8 rebounds per game. Igor Milicic, averaging 9.9 points per game and 6.8 rebounds per game. Tennessee's X factor to me is Felix Akpara and his defense on Tyler Belladon and Adama May. If he guards them well, if he holds his own, don't get in foul trouble, boards the ball, UCLA's in trouble. I like the guard play UCLA, but I think they more so rely on Tyler Belladon. And for that reason, I'm taking Tennessee. Tennessee's another team, man, led by Zakai Ziegler. They can score really, really well at a rapid pace. But they also could play defense. You've seen them blow out Florida. Now, they also did get blown out by Florida, but you've seen them blow out really good teams. And they're top of a really good SEC division. UCLA is a really good team as well. But I think UCLA struggles to score the ball at times. And if you do that against Tennessee, it's lights out. So they're going to have to be able to consistently score the ball, which I don't think they will be against a really good defensive team in Tennessee. I think they're going to struggle to score. Tennessee wins this game and moves on to the Sweet 16. That is all I got for y'all this morning. 8 games. Again, 14-2 in the NIT, 32-4 in the tournament. It's been a wild tournament. A lot of upsets. I'm enjoying it. My Spartans move on to take on New Mexico. Real quickly, I will talk about that game tomorrow, but it's crazy. I've been talking about New Mexico for a while, if you've been watching my show. I wanted them ranked, and now my team has to play them for a chance in the Sweet 16. It's crazy how life works. But I will be back tomorrow to talk the last round of 32. I may do – I don't know if I'm going to recap. I don't know because it's a lot of games. So I'll hold off on what I'll do beside the NIT games on Sunday and the round of 32. I'll think about it, let y'all know. Also been recording shows for the past, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. It'll be the past 6 days. Carl need a break. So I don't know. But I will be back tomorrow for sure to talk about these last few games this week. Y'all enjoy y'all Saturday. If you're off work, you're lucky. If you're like me and gotta go to work, kind of sucks. But I'll be back tomorrow morning. I'm gone. Peace.
Thank you for staying to the end. If you're watching this on YouTube, please like this video, subscribe, and also hit that notification button so you can be notified next time we put out a video. If you're listening on any podcast platform, subscribe and hit that notification button, y'all, so you can be notified we put out another podcast audio. And last but not least, hit that share button. No matter what you're listening to or watching it, hit that share button and send it to somebody that you know that would love to watch this episode you just listened to. So once again, thank you for staying to the end, and we'll see y'all in the next episode.